Founders, what's going on? You guys know I love in-person events, and they are back. The recording you're about to hear is from our most recent event where we had hundreds of founders come together, share intimate details, templates, KPIs, OKRs about their business, and it was something special, something special. We'd love to meet you in person. If you want to see the next live events we have coming up via our schedule, the link will be down below in the description. If you're listening on iTunes, check this out on YouTube. You'll see the links in the description, or you can just Google Founder Path or Latka next event. We'd love to see you in person. In the meantime, though, enjoy this recording. It's a good one.
He's going to teach you a ton. Welcome Geoff up to the stage.
Hello. Hello, founders. Woo! Who's a founder here? I am not a founder. I'm the guy the founders bring in to turn their vision into reality. That's what product people do. Who's a product person here? Who's the product team? I'll give you guys, in 20 minutes, everything that I've learned over the last 10 years in product development. And there's a lot of finance speak here, a lot of balance sheets, a lot of income statements. I don't care about any of that. What I care about is building a product that people want and build it in the fastest way possible. Win the marathon sprint by sprint. This is a value at Ramp. And what it means is building a company is a marathon. It takes a long time. It's grueling. And the way to break it down is by sprint, the next mile, the next minute, and keep that pace up. And a great inspiration for me is Eliud Kipchoge. In a misty morning in Vienna in October 2020, Kipchoge unofficially broke the world record of the marathon in 1 hour and 59 minutes. Incredible. And there's a lot to learn in marathon running that I'll apply to this talk today. A little bit about Ramp. I joined Ramp January 2020. At that point, we had 100 customers, 50 employees, and barely a product. It was a corporate card, and when you swiped it and you texted a receipt, it automatically matched your receipt to that transaction and synced it over to your accounting system. And over the last 2 years, we went from 100 employees to 300, from 100 customers to 5,000, and from 1 product to 5. And what's most impressive with this isn't the dollars we raised. It's not the number of employees we have. It's the fact that we did this with 35 engineers on average. And we did that through high speed development velocity. So, how do you develop products quickly? 3 main things that I want to drive today. The first is empowerment. Empowered teams. The second is feedback. And the third is a fast cadence. Let's talk about empowerment. Don't make excuses. When you have decided to do something, do it. No excuses. Kipchoge. I want to emphasize something here which is really important. It's the word you. You means that you have decided to do something. And what empowerment means is not telling someone what to do, but making that person believe that they have made that choice, that it's their idea. The way to empower product teams is, as founders, to start with a vision. Right? This is why you started your company. You have a perceived vision of where you want to be, the world you want to live in. To reach that vision, you define goals. These are the things that you want to hit, the milestones you define. To figure out if you hit those goals, you define metrics, KPIs, revenue, growth, customers, CSAT, retention. And to hit these metrics, you have different hypotheses. Once you have these hypotheses, you define projects. These are the things, the tasks that you need to do to hit these hypotheses. And once you've released these projects or features or products, you get results. The single biggest mistake that SaaS companies make is that they think that product management is at the project level. And that is fundamentally wrong. The moment you shift this perspective is the moment that your teams will move dramatically faster. You assign teams goals, not projects. You give them the finish line, 26.2 miles. You don't tell them how to get there. and you hold them accountable to those outcomes. This shift of empowerment is fundamental in innovation. It's fundamental in product-led growth. It's fundamental in any competitive market. Once you've empowered your teams, you need to give them the resources they need to execute. And so one of the biggest shifts that we've made is organizational structures. A classic mistake that companies make is they think about their teams in verticals of functionality. You have the marketing team, the engineering team, the product team, the partnerships team, the legal team. And they are all managed by different people with different incentives and different skill sets. There's no way to make those teams talk to each other. And so the way that you need to empower teams is to create single-threaded, fully autonomous, product-led teams. This takes courage. It takes a lot of cultural shifts. But once you make this shift, these teams will be completely accountable to a single goal that you've set for them. You have the product and engineering design teams, which are the core center of development, and they are fully supported by a ton of product-minded teams. Marketing, brand, operations, data science, analytics, partnerships, legal. And they live day in and day out together in the same room, in the same meetings, in the same Scrum mindset. What do managers do? What's management at this stage? How do managers know what the hell is going on? The reality is that managers stop being task managers and they become coaches. And that's another fundamental shift. The tasks assigned to these teams are actually set by the teams themselves. They define what they need to do. And managers become coaches that coach the team, that provide feedback, that figure out the development process, the career tracks, as well as the resources that they need. So here's an example of how we've done it at Ramp. We have 6 single-threaded teams. We have a growth team. They're accountable for revenue. That growth team reports to me. We have a spend management team. We have a bill pay team. We have an accounting team and a risk and payments team. And the way that we structure these is the team has a business objective. They own the user experience. They have clear systems they need to build. And they have a roadmap. Now, to make sure that there's not chaos, that people are moving in different directions, obviously all these roadmaps tie into a single product strategy. I'll give an example. Travel. A lot of our customers were like, hey, we're traveling again. How can Ramp help us manage travel? So the vision was help companies save time and money. That's what Ramp does. If you're on Ramp, you will save a lot of time and a lot of money. You set up your goal. Our goal is to be the one-stop shop for travel purchases. We want companies, when they think about travel, they go on Ramp. And we define the metric, which is the percentage of travel spend that happens on Ramp cards. That's how we make money. And the amount of time spent on expense reports, which we hate. That's the line. That's the line. That's what we give the team. We don't tell them what solution to build. Now, you would think, well, let's just build a travel portal. Let's just build one of these clunky portals where you can just book your travel. That would be one solution. But what empowered teams do is they talk to the customer deeply, and they understand that it's not a travel portal. What finance teams want is visibility. And what they want is control. You don't need a travel portal for this. What you actually need is data. So we launched Ramp for Travel. And what it does is the moment you swipe your credit card, we integrate with your Gmail. We integrate with Lyft. We integrate with Uber. We integrate with a bunch of different travel portals. And we automatically pull your itinerary. And the moment that you submit that, we automatically flag anything that's out of policy. We also give companies full visibility on where everyone is traveling automatically without a single expense report submitted. And compare that to the old expense reports where you would travel, spend on your card, wait, months, get nagged by the finance team, submit it, and then the finance team is like, what the hell was this? I closed my books 3 months ago. You didn't tell me you were going to Vegas. And then from a results perspective, 95% of travel spend is on Ramp cards, and 90% of expense reports are automated. You wouldn't get that result with a travel portal, and you wouldn't get that with disempowered teams. Let's talk about feedback. You cannot train alone and expect a faster time. 100% of myself is nothing compared to 1% of the whole team. It takes a village to build a product, and it takes a city to ship a product. Launching products is easy, right? You build it, you release it, you get some feedback, pat yourself on the back. But to truly launch a great product, it's much, much harder. Who here is in B2B? Right? You got your marketing team, your lead gen team, your sales team, your customer success team, your support team, your partnerships team. Right? They all have different goals, different opinions. Everything starts slowing down. You can't let it. If there's discomfort, that means you're moving fast. So we implemented, just like a marathon or training program, we implemented a track, a mechanical way of releasing products quickly. We have a tiering system that we all align on, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 in terms of product releases. We have a marketing team that grinds, they're here today. Product tiering, landing pages, sales collateral, press releases, lifecycle marketing, newsletters, social media, paid ads, whatever. They own all of that, and they constantly are creating content. So we have a product calendar, synced to a marketing calendar, synced to a sales calendar. And that sales calendar is accountable for enablement, training, feedback, and analytics in terms of our sales. The faster this motion moves, the faster the feedback comes back to the product team. And what's really important is having equal empowerment and leadership across customer-facing teams, marketing teams, and product teams. But feedback is chaotic, right? You get feedback from everyone. Everyone has an opinion. You know, support teams like, yo, everyone's complaining about this thing. Sales team is like, this customer wants this big feature and it's a big whale. Account management team are like, well, I'm going to lose my spiff if we don't build this one little widget. So the way that we did it is we defined a lead in each customer-facing team that were accountable for the voice of the customer on that specific product. And they are tied and embedded in the single-threaded product-led team. The voice of the customer, really important. And what's really important for the product management team is to be empowered to say no. We gotta say no, right? It's more important what you say no to than what you say yes to. Is this aligned with our vision? Right? Is this a target customer that we actually care about? Does this drive the goals that we set for it? And is this real pain? Is this something that when we actually solve it, the customer will be better off? So we say no to a ton of things, but what needs to happen is equal empathy. The product team needs to be in the shoes of the salesperson. They need to be in the room with sales, understanding that the customer needs this. And the sales team needs to be in the room with the product team, understanding what the hell they're doing, right? It's not that we're saying no because we're lazy. We're saying no because we're working on 16 things that are more important. Like everything at Ramp, we bootstrap tech. We've used a lot of partners, a lot of vendors. And feedback can actually be automated. We use Typeform for surveys, Gong for sales calls, Zendesk for support, Pendo for in-app analytics, and Salesforce. Ugh, Salesforce. If anyone's building a Salesforce competitor here, please come talk to me. All that data is piped into our data warehouse. And at any point in time, I can pull a report that tells me every single thing that is blocked, every single feature that is needed, how important that feature is, and the correlation with those features to our target segments, the correlation of those features to activation, retention, CSAT. I can slice and dice the data in a million different ways. The other thing that we use a lot is Slack. We have Slack channels. And what that does is every time there's a feedback or an input, it's posted on Slack. It's crazy, it's noisy, but there's visibility. And when you're a salesperson and you understand that there's 16 other things that customers want, you understand how hard it is to be on the product team. So this is an example, for example, of a report. What's required here is classification and coding. We code by product type. We code by sub-product type. We have a classification around like a nice to have, must have, or a blocker. And then we cross-correlate. So you can build essentially just a weighted average pipeline, right, on sales deals that need specific features or problems. High velocity operational cadence, my favorite. To win is not important. To be successful is not even important. How to plan and prepare is crucial. Who here has run a marathon? Ah, all right. You know that running the marathon is not that hard. What's hard is getting up in the morning and training. What's hard is sticking to your schedule. What's hard is the routine, the grind, right? And with the right process, you can remove a ton of that. There's no decision that you have to make. You're waking up. You're going for a run. You just remove that decision-making process. Same thing is true for product development. A couple operating principles. Learn, build, launch. On learn, ask why. I'll get into that. Design thinking. We use mock-ups. Figma. Build a whole product, not one line of code. And pull the team early. This is a classic one. If you think about your devs as IT in a cave, they will not work hard or fast. Bring your engineers to the customer, and they will light up, and they will be empowered. On the build, smooth process, I'll get into that. Work back from an MVP, and small teams. Classic Bezos 2-pizza rule. Right? The moment that you have a team too big to eat 2 pizzas, break them in half, give them different goals. On the launch side, launch early. This is a classic one, right? If you're not proud of what you're building or what you're launching, you've launched too late. Track metrics. I'll get into that a little bit. And package releases. What does packaging mean? It means you can release on an ongoing basis, right? We release 100 times a day. But from a marketing perspective, we package it. We package into large, stepwise motions. We package different features and repackage and repackage and repackage and go back to the press, go back to the partners, go back to our landing pages. Smooth process. Who here uses OKRs? All right. It's not a bad one. Objectives and key results. All right. I talked a little bit about that. Define what you want to do. Define how you measure it. We use OKRs every quarter. And we hold, typically, product managers accountable for the key result. All right, so there's an assigned key result owner. It's not the initiative, right? The key result isn't build this widget. It's get to this goal, right? Once you have your key result and your PM and your cross-functional team, then think about, all right, what the hell are we going to do to get this goal? That's the brainstorming phase. We have a bi-weekly sprint planning process. What that means is every 2 weeks, we pull up with the whole team and we talk about what did we do? What impact did it have? What are we going to do? Why is it important? Who's doing what? It's extremely operational and it's extremely high leverage, especially in a distributed environment where people have meetings, one-on-ones all the time. You cut all that, one big meeting, high velocity. Then we have daily scrums. Scrums is, what did you do yesterday? What are you doing today? What are you blocked on? What do you need help on? I'll get a little bit into that. And then results, constant monitoring with clear dashboards that are tied to the KRs. And you keep going. OKRs, this is a screenshot of our first OKRs back in 2020. Objective, key result, owner, ideas. Brainstorming, feature, which KR is it going to hit to? What value is it going to have on the KR? How much effort is it? You can use a scoring mechanism. I never really believe in scores at the end of the day, but it's a nice idea. Project execution. We use Linear, little plugin for Linear. A great little task management tool. Clear project, break it down, assign it, keep track of the burn down. 100% of customers request are acknowledged within 1 hour. This is our first support team, right? I was running support at the time, answering tickets. Initiatives, build an IVR, hire, and improve self-service functions. Those were our 3 initiatives to drive that KR. So yeah, we don't have any project managers. Project managers are there because people don't know how to do their own tasks. Empowered teams are empowered and they're accountable. So you break it down, and when you're giving an update to the team, and you're saying, I didn't get this done, the team will hold you accountable, not the project manager. And then key results, also very outdated. I can talk at length about this, but a lot of this should be automated, right? Segment for analytics, Amplitude or Mixpanel or Google Analytics for reporting. And you review these every single day, every single week, every single month. So that's the process. And it works. I want to talk a little bit about two more specific things around the process. One is dual track delivery. So what's important is when you decide to do something, before you build anything, because building is very expensive, spend a ton of time understanding what to build. So we have 2 tracks happening in every single-threaded team. One track is discovery. It's the research, it's the ideas, it's the prototyping. And one track is the execution. You can get very far with a prototype and 10 customer calls. On the 9th customer call, they will tell you the same thing, and that's when you know you've hit a good outcome. Once you've defined a good idea, then you bring it to the delivery track. And the delivery track is all about getting it out as quickly as possible. Once you separate those 2 tracks, you clarify who's responsible for what, and you clarify what stage a project is in, and shoot down as many ideas as you can from the discovery track to the execution track. The second thing is asking why. If you build the wrong thing, your velocity is going to go down. And the way to build right, especially in B2B, is to ask why. The reason why financial products are terrible is because people who use financial products are terrible. They're terrible at giving feedback. Hey, Mr. Accountant, what can we build for you? I would love this button. I would love this drop down. I would love this process that slows down my entire organization. Who's an accountant here? Sorry. Ask why. Why do you want this button? Why do you want this drop down? Oh, actually, it's because at the end of the month, I download this sheet. Why do you download this sheet? Well, it's because I need to reconcile this with this system. Okay, what is this system? Let me reconcile it for you, right? So build what they need, not what they want. And that requires guts. It requires deeply understanding your customer. It requires sitting down with them and doing their job. That's really, really important. That's what product is. It's not, taking requirements from a customer and just building a widget. So, death to concur. The last thing is working backwards. A lot of companies, they use the term MVP. Oh, let's just build this MVP. Let's just ship this MVP. That's great, right? MVPs are great. But what's important is, before you build this MVP, know where you're going. Start with the 10x experience. So you say, okay, what's better? What's better than experience here? Okay, what's better than that? And what's better than that? And what's better than that? And when you define the 10x experience, then you walk backwards. Because then you're building towards something greater. Right? So let's take automating expense reports, which we all hate expense reports. Well, all right, what's a 2x experience? Well, a 2x experience is I text my receipt, there's OCR and matches the receipt. Great. Or I take an Uber and I don't have to file an expense report. Great. All right, what's a 5 times experience? Well, the 5 times experience is I make a purchase on any website and it automatically pulls my receipt. And it parses my itinerary and I don't have to tell anyone if I was a coach class or which hotel I was at or whatever. Okay, what's a 10x experience? 10x experience is I just swipe, right? And all the itemized receipts or all the itemization are coming from the Visa network or the network itself. And when I submit a receipt, there's machine learning on the receipt that automatically flags to my finance teams if I took something out of the minibar, right? That's 10x. And spending time on the 10x is extremely motivating. It's motivating to everyone. And then when you realize that you have a 10x idea, then you need to understand, well, shit, I need to hire data scientists. I need to partner with Visa. And you start building towards this future. It might be Horizon 3, right? It'll take 2 years, 3 years. But the work that you're doing now can compound into that. Don't just ship an MVP and, hope that you'll get the idea of what the next phase should be. So I shared a lot here around empowered teams and how to structure empowered teams. I shared a lot about feedback and how to increase visibility and empathy across product and marketing teams. And I talked a lot about the operational process that you need to put in place to speed up decision-making and speed up development and learning. The last quote I want to leave you with is, when you smile and you're happy, you can trigger the mind to not feel your legs. I love this quote. And it turns out that the fastest runners are those that love running. And so for us, right, the fastest teams aren't those that work harder. They're those that love what they do and believe in what they do. And so as founders, the most important thing that you need to do with your teams is to make them believe, is to make them happy, is to make them passionate. And once they are, grinding isn't so bad. That they are essentially working towards whatever finish line they define for themselves or whatever finish line you define for them. That's it. Speed is everything. And thank you very much for your time and attendance.